Blockbuster NBA trade ideas. Which stars could be on the move this offseason as we progress past NBA free agency and into the rest of the offseason? We're going to have 5 players that could be on the move and what those packages would look like. And we'll start with what I think would be the biggest. Lauri Markkanen, the forward from the Utah Jazz, heading to the Golden State Warriors. It is rumored that the Warriors are interested and want to go all in for Lauri Markkanen. We'll see if they end up doing so. But if I had to project what a blockbuster trade would look like, this is what I think the framework would be. I think the Warriors would receive Lauri Markkanen. I think the Jazz would get 2 unprotected first-round picks in 2025 and 2028. You could probably add some pick swaps in there as well. But the main headlining piece going back to Utah is the young man, Jonathan Kuminga, who had his best season after being the 7th overall pick 3 years ago. He averaged 16 points a game this year and showcased his athleticism and ability to score. But what would the Warriors be getting in Lauri Markkanen? They'd be getting one of the most dynamic offensive big men in the NBA. 7-footers don't move like Lauri Markkanen moves, man. And ever since he has joined the Jazz after being dealt from Cleveland to Utah in the Donovan Mitchell deal, he has been sensational. 25 points and 23 points in his respective seasons. And like I mentioned, you just don't see 39% three-point shooters from a guy like Lauri Markkanen, like 7 feet tall. He can put it on the deck. He can shoot movement. This is not standing and catching around. He is able to shoot off the move and be able to really get it going from beyond the arc. He can score at all 3 levels. He's also more athletic than people realize, and he's also a better defender than people realize. People just want to make the same stereotypes on Lauri Markkanen's player types. But the question is, with Markkanen going to Golden State, does he make the Warriors title contenders or not? He would be the second option on that team to an older Steph Curry, and I'm a little bit skeptical on that. I'm a big fan of Lauri. I see him as a possible second option on a title team, but your number 1 has to be really good, and your number 3 has to be really good. The problem is they do not have a number 3 in Golden State. They have a bunch of good role players in DeAnthony Melton, Buddy Hield, and they recently also acquired, Kyle Anderson as well. But are they able to put together a team that can win a title? I'm a little bit unsure of that. Number 2, Trae Young to Miami. You guys can't do this, man. This is terrible. We'll keep this show rolling. We got some other stuff happening on our live show. Appreciate everyone staying strong with us. Could Trae Young go to the Miami Heat? The Heat need to shake up their roster, and they just simply can't run it back. So what could a deal look like if the Hawks end up blowing it up and sending Trae to Miami? Hero, Duncan, and Nikola Jovic plus a second-round pick. I honestly don't think the value of Trae Young is really that high right now. If it's deserved or not, I don't know. But either way, they have already made the decision to move off DeJounte Murray. Could they do that with Trae Young, get a young player and Hero for their backcourt, as well as a young frontcourt piece in Nikola Jovic? Regardless of what you think from Atlanta, Miami needs to do something in order to improve their roster and not run it back. And Trae Young feels like a good addition to this team, considering how he can take most of the burden offensively and really transcend Bam Adebayo's offensive game. Bam has never had a point guard to distribute the basketball to him and throw him accurate lob passes. He just hasn't had that. A Trae Young Bam pick and roll would be one of the most dynamic offensive plays in the NBA, and to me, it feels like a move Miami should absolutely be considering if Young is on the table for a trade. Let me ask you this, though. We've still got 3 players to talk about here in the show, but who will be the best player traded going forward in the offseason? Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe it's Brandon Ingram, as I have him potentially going to the Cleveland Cavaliers as a blockbuster trade. Ingram, last year of his deal, the Pelicans are rumored to not want to keep him around long term, as the fit with him, CJ McCollum, Zion Williamson is questionable. They already made the move to get DeJounte Murray. Could they be okay with Murray, Zion, McCollum alongside Herb Jones and Trey Murphy being their main guys. Well, they could also use this trade where the Cavaliers send Jared Allen, Max Strus, and a 2028 first-round pick to Cleveland or to New Orleans to get Brandon Ingram. And to me, this works out for both sides. The Pelicans get their starting center alongside Zion after losing Jonas Valanciunas in free agency, and they get a good shooter to add to their bench. The Cavaliers get their second leading scorer in Brandon Ingram, who connects very, very well to Evan Mobley in the front court, because think about this. You would now have a core four in Cleveland in D-Mitch, Ingram, Garland, Evan Mobley. I'm not sure if that is ready to win a championship right now, but if they're able to grow together, Mobley takes another step, Garland becomes more efficient, and they really gel nicely, maybe in 2 to 3 seasons, that is a team that can compete in the Eastern Conference and really try to get an NBA title. It's a pretty even trade if you're asking me for both sides, but I want to know for you, who wins this trade at home? New Orleans or Cleveland? Answer that by just typing in their initials for me down in the comment section. Let's get spicy with a Julius Randle to the Utah Jazz trade. I think a Randle trade could be very likely if you're asking me. When you think of what the Knicks have on their roster right now with Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, they have Randle, but I don't know if he fits on this team in this like selfless type of basketball. Randle isn't that effective unless he has the ball in his hands, and he simply won't because of Brunson dominating the ball, and then they'll likely give it to Mikal and OG as their second and third options off ball. The Knicks have rumored to be interested in Walker Kessler, and could they trade Julius Randle and a first-round pick to Utah in return for Kessler, Colin Sexton to be a bench guard, as DiVincenzo would likely slot into the starting lineup, and former first-round pick Bryce Sensabaugh? Randle, a 2-time All-Star over the past 2 seasons in New York, could be the piece that helps Utah get things moving in the right direction. Because in this specific scenario, where Randle goes to the Jazz, they keep Lauri Markkanen. They have a front court of Julius Randle and Lauri Markkanen, young pieces in the backcourt of Keontae George. Like, could this be where Utah ends up heading in the direction? Randle's an all-star caliber player. He plays the 4. Markkanen plays the 5. It's an intriguing hypothetical if Utah wants to start trying to contend, maybe not contend, but at least compete in the West over the next 3 or 4 seasons. And if you're the Knicks, are you willing to make this move? I think the pieces of Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton, and Bryce Sensabaugh fit their roster much better than one Julius Randle, because you'd start OG at the 4, Mikal at the 3. You slide DiVincenzo back into the starting lineup, as he's probably not likely to be the starter now. You have Jalen at the 1, Kessler's your starting center, Mitchell Robinson your backup center, with Colin Sexton and Josh Hart as your lead guys in that guard/forward position. To me, I think this is another trade that makes sense for both sides and could get done if Utah wants to commit to Lauri Markkanen. But like I mentioned off the top, it seems like they might not want to commit to Lauri. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because you're going to get more free content on the NBA all year long. Join the channel and subscribe, as we will give you covered on everything you need to know. How about the last one being Kyle Kuzma to the Sacramento Kings? Probably the least blockbuster out of all of them, but I still think this could be a good deal. The Wizards could be looking to go in a youth movement in a new direction with Alex Sarr, as well as Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George, and could look to get some assets back for Kyle Kuzma. Well, here's a good idea. The Kings need a forward. They get it here by trading away Harrison Barnes. They get a younger piece in Kuzma who's a little bit of an upgrade. They send out 1 first-round pick alongside Harrison Barnes and 2 second-round picks. There's reports out there that the Wizards want 2 first-rounders. I think that's a little bit much for Kuzma. But Kyle is one of the best contracts in the NBA. 3 years left on his deal, getting paid $23 million this season, $21 million next season, and then $19 million the season after. One of the rare descending contracts for a player that's pretty solid in terms of averaging 20 points a game, good rebounding, and is okay in terms of their efficiency. I think Kuzma makes a lot of sense for Sacramento. He fits them in terms of their fit as well as salary cap. If Sacramento's willing to dish off a first-round pick in a couple seconds and Washington's willing to listen and take that, I think it makes sense for the Kings. We went through 5 blockbuster trades on today's show. Let me know which one was your favorite. Could it be Lauri going to the Warriors? That's our first trade. Type 1 if you think it's that. Could it be Trae Young going to the Heat? That's number 2. Or about this fair and equal trade between the Cavs and Pelicans? Number 3. Jazz getting Julius Randle and the Knicks getting Walker Kessler. That's number 4. And then the final one we just talked about, Kyle Kuzma heading to Sacramento, is the 5th trade. Let me know which one you like the most down below. Make sure you are following me on Twitter as well. At Nic_Rohloff is my handle. Talking more NBA hoops on a daily basis on Twitter/X. So make sure you go give me a follow and join me over there.